Tara, would you be able to? Thank you so much. I want to thank you for joining us today. My name is Jill Scarson. I am the Partner Success Leader for the Palace Project. I'm joined today by Rachel Perry Taylor with SEFLIN, as well as Tara Carpenter, the Implementation Leader or the Implementation Manager for the partner success team with the Palace Project. So today we're going to do a brief overview of the Palace Project Collection Manager, as well as talk about the customization that you can do in the Palace app through the Palace Collection Manager. We're pretty informal here, and it's a small group today. We are recording for those who are unable to attend. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to either unmute and raise your hand or place them in the chat. Tara will be monitoring as we present. So if you give me one moment, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, and I believe that you can see the screen now. Is that correct, Tara?
I see it.
Awesome. So as I said, we'll talk about how to access the Palace Collection Manager. We'll talk about the catalog page overview, what's included there, how to access your usage information, and then really talking about that customization through sharing of lists and lanes. And as I mentioned, plenty of time for questions at the end. This should probably be about a 15 to 20-minute presentation. So there's plenty of time for you to ask specific questions about the collection manager as well as the Palace platform as a whole. Okay, so when we talk about the Palace project, it really is a whole ecosystem of materials. Your patrons access the Palace project app. There is the marketplace where you can purchase content, but the Palace Collection Manager is kind of that back end administrative portal for librarians. So everything that patrons see in the app is managed through the Palace Collection Manager. So to access this, you'll go to the URL listed on the page. You'll log in with your email and password that we set up for you at the time of your implementation. And if you don't know that, you could reset your password or contact us for support at the Palace Project or to request that login. We know that staffing changes all the time, so if you definitely know that you don't have an account and need one, just contact us at support and request that information. We just need a little bit more. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. Okay, so when you log in for the first time, you'll be able to see what we call the catalog page. So this kind of mimics everything that patrons will see on the catalog page in the app. So in this screen, you're able to sort by ebooks and audiobooks, or you can look at the whole collection. You can go up to the search toolbox at the top of the page and click through the search, or you can browse. And if you click on any of these items, you can view the details, the numbers of copies available. You're able to edit the metadata for your library. So if something came through with incorrect metadata, or if you'd like to add some additional tags, you're able to do that. Or you can add an item to a list. And this is what those item record details will look like. It's going to show you the number of copies available. So for this book, it's one copy, one of one copies are available. You'll have that distributor information. The edit tab is where you would be able to update the book details, including the information. On the classifications tab. You're able to edit the audience and classification information. So if it comes in with incorrect metadata, or if you'd like to add additional classifications, you're able to edit that there. And on that list tab, there is an option to add a title directly to a predetermined list. We'll talk about lists a little bit later. Okay, talking about the collection manager dashboard. So this is where you will go to look at your patron information as well as your circulation information. So on this page, you'll see an overview of the number of patrons at your library that have active loans or holds, uh, active loans and holds, as well as gives you the opportunity to request an inventory report of all of the Palace Marketplace, Biblioboard, and Palace Bookshelf content. You can see the list of configured collections. So as we can see on the screen, Broward County has several different content sources that they've integrated in addition to their Baker and Taylor collection, their Biblioboard, their Overdrive. They have their own marketplace account in addition to the SEFLIN shared collections. Uh, in addition to this, this is where you will go to download your usage CSV. So in order to receive your monthly stats, right now in the dashboard, you are able to download raw data in a CSV that you can manipulate, or you're able to go to our new QuickSight dashboard. So this is the first iteration of our improved dashboard. Eventually, it will be embedded right into the dashboard page. But for now, you would go to this link. So if you are logged into the Palace Collection Manager and you put this URL in, you'll be able to see this kind of newer, updated, more visually appealing summary of information. So this is giving you an idea of easy to access circulation totals. Right now, it's able to show you for the year. You can look at overall time. There are charts and data visualizations for popular metrics, including breakdowns by format, the number of most circulated titles, the list of titles that are popular within the app. You'll still have access to that CSV data in the dashboard report by clicking on that last tab. I see that there are a couple questions coming in. Tara, is there something?
Oh, so Rachel says it looks great. And I also provided the link to the new dashboard here, and that'll also be linked in the slides when we send those as follow-up.
Thanks. So this really is our first attempt. We are constantly going in and adding additional reporting mechanisms. We anticipate that we'll add some additional visualizations about breakdowns by distributors, breakdowns by format, breakdowns by genre, just to kind of give you a better sense of what's circulation, what's circulating in the Palace app. So this is really why we're here to talk today. One of I think that the biggest perks about the collection manager is that you have the ability to do custom curations. So in the crux of Palace, we talk about these things called lists and lanes. A list is quite literally a list of titles within a specific theme or that meet specific parameters. So in order to create that lane that you see in the app, you'll first need to create a list. In the list manager, you do have the ability to see all of the lists that have previously been created by your library. You can also see lists that you've subscribed to or lists that have been shared with you. So one of the really neat things that we've been able to do with Palace is to enable this list sharing. So if you've created a list of titles all about banned books that you would like to share with everyone in SEFLIN, you can click on the list sharing. It gives you that opportunity to share. So what happens from that point on is you can't edit or delete the list. I believe you can actually edit, but you cannot delete it. But it will be available to any other library in your consortia under these shared list options. So if you're really proud of the work, if you want to make sure that your colleagues can see and access this and share with their patrons, sharing a list is a great way to do that. In terms of creating these custom lists, we have a very simple search function that will allow you to search by format. You can sort by relevance, title, or author. You can add parameters in terms of what types of works to include with different filters ranging from distributors to publication dates to genres to classifications, which would be fiction or nonfiction, as well as title, author, and audience. So in the nice thing about this is it's kind of a Boolean. So you do have some options where you can change something is equal, something is greater than, something just not equal. We also have an option that will allow you to indicate what things you don't want that meet the specifications above. So if you want all of the books about gardening, but you don't want anything involving mushrooms, you can put in those parameters. Two different things that you can do with these lists. One, you can set up an automatically updating list. So if you would like to set up a list of Biblioboard titles and would like to add every single Biblioboard title that you ever purchase, I would recommend setting up an automatically updating list. As you add new titles into your collection, that list will update. For themed lists or special event type lists, we recommend using a manual list because you are able to pull in different types of subjects, different types of authors. I usually do an author search for different types of themed months, that will allow you to edit and update over time. So automatically updated lists, once they've been saved, you cannot go back and update. Manually selecting titles will allow you to go and update at a later date.
Jill, we have
Some
another question, sorry.
Yes, of course.
Back to the dashboard for a sec. So
Sure.
I answered in the chat, but just for the people who may be listening to the recording, Rachel had asked, does book checkouts include all circulation events or only genuine checkouts?
It should be only genuine checkouts.
Yeah, exactly. And I put in the chat too for everyone who may be watching later on that in the CSV, it'll count as a circulation manager checkout if you look at that column, the events column in the CSV, but it does only count items that were checked out through Palace.
I
Yeah,
really like the new dashboard. Thank you.
oh, we're so glad to hear that. And I think for us, this is kind of a work in progress. We understand that there are certain metrics that you need for state reporting, for federal reporting, and this is a long time coming and something that we've really advocated for because we understand the importance of reporting for funding. So when we say something is in here, we know that it's something that's been requested of us. If there's something that's missing or something that you'd like clarification on, definitely reach out to us at that support email, because we do want to refine this to make it as easy to use as possible, but also as valuable as possible for libraries.
Thanks, Jill. And I put the support email in the chat as well.
Thank you. Okay. So this is something that we'd like to offer as an option. And Rachel, we can talk a little bit later, but some of our state library partners that we've worked with have requested what we're calling a list library. So this is just a instance in the Palace Collection Manager where somebody either from the consortia or library staff that are interested in can create lists utilizing the statewide shared collections or the consortial collections. So these are all theme lists that we did for Rhode Island. So based on the collection items that they purchased. So all about Rhode Island, New England vibes, Let's Eat, because they have a lot of different cookbooks in that collection. For Florida, we could do something similar as well. So if this is something of interest, especially if you're interested in the idea of learning more about list sharing, it's definitely something that we could set up SEFLIN with. So TBD on this, but it's just an opportunity to talk about different levels of curation and making it as easy as possible for libraries to access those curated collections within Palace. Okay, so the second part of creating a list or a list and lane is that lane component. So we talk about lists being the foundation for a lane. You can create as many lists as you want in the collection manager, but they will not appear in the app until you create the lane. So similar to the list manager, you'll have a lane manager. This is where you'll see all of your automatically generated lanes. So if you scroll down on the screen, you'll see the fiction, nonfiction, world books, and things of that sort. You are able to view the different sub lanes. You can actually decide to make them invisible if you'd like to take anything out. But in order to create a new lane, you'll click on the create top level lane. You'll give it a name. You'll look at that list of available lists. And on the screen, you can actually see items that are owned, some that are subscribed, and some that have been shared with you. So if you wanted to create that gardening lane, add a list about gardening, a list about plants, a list about, fungi, you're able to put all of those into a single lane. So you can create as many lists as you want, as many titles in those lists that you want, and put multiple lists in a lane. But the general idea is that it's giving you the capability to kind of curate what your patrons are seeing. We often recommend that if you have collection items that are new, or if there's a specific concept or event that you're looking to highlight within the library, creating the top level lane is a great way of interacting with your patrons through the app. And these are just some examples of what libraries have done in terms of customization for their libraries. So Book Vermont Library is a statewide shared collection intended to attract, I would say, temporary residents of Vermont. So there are a lot of people who travel, part-time, or they live in the state, half the year during ski season or during the summers, but they don't necessarily go to their library regularly. The Book Vermont Library allows them to sign up for a virtual library card in-app and utilize that while they are staying in the state. Here, the Vermont Department of Libraries have curated some custom Vermontiana lanes, as they call it. So, focusing on Vermont authors, Vermont Book Awards. There are some themes involving, Vermont-esque concepts, a little bit of dark academia in there, things of that sort. For Vancouver Public Library, they've really looked at Palace as being their go-to access point for audiobooks. So they've used their SEFLIN's opportunity to kind of highlight the available audiobooks that they've purchased from Audible, as well as talk about staff picks for fiction and nonfiction. And similarly, in Connecticut State, they've focused on reading initiatives and things that are really pertinent to people that live in the state. This is all to say that, just because we have this webinar today, we do have a lot of training resources available to you to show you how to set up those listen lanes. We're not going to walk you through them today, but we do have a video, about 10 minutes, that talks all about the collection manager with some sub videos specifically on listen lane creation. In addition to those videos, we have written documentation as well as recorded webinars like the one today. We do not want that to go. And lastly, if you need access to the collection manager, just contact us. So you can contact us at the Palace support team. You'll provide us with your library name, your user's name and email address, the level of access needed, if it's a user or an admin, and then we ask that you reset the password upon logging in. That just gives you the opportunity to set your own specific password as opposed to using the generic one that we would set up for you. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If there's anything that you would like to see specifically or look in the CM, I'm happy to share. If you have any specific questions about what we can do to help you in terms of listing lane creation, we're always happy to kind of talk through that as well.
Well, I do have a question while maybe
Sure.
someone is gathering their thoughts. So I was wondering, with the new dashboard, is there a way to get an inventory list with current amount of checkouts left?
I believe it is going to be on the CM dashboard page. Tara, can you correct me? Once
Yes.
that inventory list is there, it should say all of the titles that are in the collection and actually how many loans are left for each title.
Yes.
But that will be specific to Palace and Lyricist related content.
Exactly. So if you do request a report, you'll see content from Palace Marketplace, Biblioboard, and Palace Bookshelves only, because that's the stuff that we're the distributor for those
That
materials.
makes sense. Right.
So you can also use that alongside your reporting from like other outside distributors that we configure. But those are available now when you log in on the dashboard. There's like that request report button. If you
Oh,
click that,
that's awesome.
yeah, that should tell you the up to date as current as we have reflection of holds and items left available in your collection.
Okay, perfect.
And I
Thank
would
you.
say that's within like 24 hours accuracy. Usually it kind of refreshes overnight. But that is also a new feature that we've recently implemented and are currently refining as well. So
Excited for that too.
yeah, I think, we continue to kind of learn and grow, and a lot of the feedback that comes from libraries and from our library partners allows us to really fine tune the resources that we've made available to ensure that you're able to access the information that you need in a way that makes sense. And I always say in a way that makes sense because I know that sometimes the reports that we provide seem a little bit convoluted. which is why we're working on kind of refining that dashboard to get you those numbers easily. Sometimes you don't want to go through a CSV to figure out how many checkouts you had a month. We hear you.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that either.
Awesome, thank you.
Is there anything else that we can address? And it doesn't necessarily need to be the collection manager. If you have any questions about palettes in general, about content, about what's to come, I'm happy to help there as well. And that's okay. For those who are here today, thank you for joining us. Tara has put our support email in the account for those watching this video. If you do need to reach us for any questions or if you want to set up a chat, contact us at support@thepalaceproject.org. Thank you again for joining us today to talk about the Palace Collection Manager and how you can utilize it to customize Palace for your library. Uh, if you need anything, you know how to reach us. Thanks.
Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.